How should a doctor start investing? This is a question which I was asked to address a bunch of young postgraduate doctors. And I said they're very simple things, exactly how anybody would start investing. How would I ask my 22-year-old niece or a 20-year-old daughter to start investing? Very simple. You don't start by buying equity shares directly. I know I'm being very old-fashioned perhaps in advising people. 17 lakh demat accounts have been opened in this country last month, which is perhaps more than what we have used to see in perhaps 3 years or 4 years, and this was opened in 1 month, right? It is very fashionable to say, oh, I bought shares, and buying cheap stocks seems to be the in thing. Almost everybody is doing it. And happily or sadly, some people are making money, and of course lots of people are losing money. And even internationally, Robinhood investors has become a common word. GameStop, in which people lost a lot of money, is something which people think that, oh, the Davids can take on the Goliaths. That's all fine, but the question is, consistently will you be able to make money in direct equity? The answer is no. Secondly, words like asset allocation, fundamental analysis, and all that is completely lost on people who think that they can buy and sell equity directly. I have nothing against buying and selling equity directly, but that should be more like a hobby to you than like a profession. Your profession as a doctor is to treat your customers, which is your patients, make sure that they are happy, make sure that they are satisfied, make sure that you are learning, investing in yourself, investing in your place of work, far more important than buying 100 shares of Amazon or 10 shares of Amazon or whatever. It has become an in thing to say that if you buy FANG, which is your Facebook, your Alphabet, and Netflix, and Google, your life is done. It's not true at all, right? And it is not new. Not long ago, of course, some of you may be very young, so you may have just heard the word Harshad Mehta, or thanks to Sucheta Dalal, you may have even watched the movie. When Harshad Mehta was at his peak in 1992, the in share was ACC. You were almost told that if you buy ACC, then you don't need to do anything else in life. In the tech boom in the US, Microsoft was the most important share to buy, right? And there were so many other companies which you wouldn't have even heard of, right? And none of those companies are today anywhere near their previous highs. And Microsoft also crashed after the boom. After the boom became a bust, and then later on it recovered. But Cisco, for example, just didn't recover. It has definitely underperformed the market. What would have happened? So to make money in the long run, you need a lot of things. First of all, you need patience. You need to understand your risk appetite. You need to understand your how much of life insurance you need, how much of medical insurance you need, how to protect your practice from malpractice suits, right? So that is risk cover. Then needing to understand that in the long run, a well diversified portfolio is the best thing that a surgeon or a physician can hope for, simply because he does not have time or she does not have time for learning the equity markets. Yes, you must have heard of some small cap fund and large cap fund saying this fund did very well, it gave 42% return, this fund has actually given 76% return. Please don't believe it. These are not numbers which are going to sustain over a period of time. What is going to sustain is 12, 13, 14%, maybe even lesser if inflation is lower. But over a long period of time, that will create wealth. So creating wealth, you need a large cap or a well diversified equity portfolio. You need debt to fall back on in case of emergencies. You need a risk cover just in case something were to go wrong. You need to invest a lot in your own practice, in your own learning, maybe in getting some diplomas and degrees to supplement what you already know. Hanging that in your place of practice is good, which means your place of practice has to look good. So you have to invest in those things. Investing in those things is far more important. How would I give instructions to a doctor? It's very simple. If you are the father of a doctor and you think your son has to now start investing, the best thing would be to give him a copy of some good books to read, which could even be Retire Rich, Invest Rupees 40 a Day, which is a wealth creation book, or it could be a wealth prescription for doctors. There are other books on risk like Bernstein. There are books like, let him or her start reading books on equity. There is nothing wrong in direct equity investing, but it has its place in the portfolio. So initially, let the doctor start SIP in a mutual fund, which could be a large cap fund, let's say a Franklin India Blue Chip, HDFC Top 100, iPru Value Discovery, or a iPru Blue Chip. Any of those funds. There are of course 40 other fund houses. There is DSP, there is Mirae, there is Invesco, there is Axis, lots of fund houses. Let him pick one or two schemes on his own, or even better, introduce him or her to a good financial advisor. Explain to the financial advisor, saying, here is a doctor whose income is not going to be high, but whose income will last a lot longer. Yes, he is 32 years of age. He's starting now, or maybe he's already started and there is one mutual fund which is already up and running. So maybe he increases the amount of SIP in that. He does all those things, and he also starts learning about equity. Now I'll tell you what he can do about equity. He can buy one equity share every year. You heard me right. One equity share every year, for which he should study at least 15 companies or 10 to 15 companies, and then he will know, or she will know, how much time and effort it takes to buy one share. Then let him agonize, let her agonize over what to buy, why to buy, and create his own or her own portfolio. See how it performs. Do a fictitious portfolio. You go to any of these Money Control or Value Research, create your own fictitious portfolio. See how it is performing. See vis-a-vis you how the fund managers are doing. Once you are convinced that you have some skills, start picking up one share a year. Over the next 30 years, you would have picked up 30 shares, or maybe you would have picked up 60, 70 shares, but you would have sold out 30, 40 shares, and you will be left with a nice compact portfolio of 25 to 30 shares, and that's enough. You don't need more shares than that. So this is the way to for a doctor to be investing, not buying and selling shares. That's the easiest thing to do. And if you buy based on tips told by others, that's not exactly how you want your patient to behave, right? You don't want your patient to ask everybody, oh, my stomach is paining, what should I do, or my head is paining. Just like how he comes to a doctor, you also go to somebody who is qualified, who is doing a good job, who is able to advise you, who gives you right, honest advice, saying, okay, you need to invest in your own practice also, right? Who tells you about documentation, making a will, taking adequate term insurance, etc., etc. Understand all this and get into the process properly. Buying and selling shares in one of these Robinhood accounts is the easiest thing to do. It may even make you some money in the short run, but in the long run, to make money on a sustained basis without taking much attention away from your own practice, direct equity is not the best way to approach. It is very, very stressful. You might make money, you might also lose money. Beware of all those things. Stay away. A simple SIP is good. One share a year over 30 years will give you a good portfolio, and that's enough. Thank you.